I'll go to the village and
Yeah,
there'll be signs in the village.
Probably, yeah. So put it on like 1, 2. I thought like 2 is probably good. Broadway's to the right, is it? Okay, got that one. This car should feel a little bit faster now because the brake issues.
Oh yeah,
It's totally sorted now.
yeah. And you just had a service.
It does feel a bit faster now.
Yeah, you stay there in your Beamer. Bow to the Viking sponsorship.
Well, you've got a bit of a viz system there as well. This has got like a VBC style system.
Oh, has it?
Yeah, but it only gives you 2 horsepower. And it's a pain because the inlet manifold with the viz system often breaks.
Okay.
I was talking with Chris last night about that on his car. And they do break. I had a new one there. The chap who's brought the Forbidden Fuel 25, like this is a book of Chatsworth edition. He sold me a very good second-hand one. It's actually off-road identical car to this, and it works just fine.
ABS is behaving after.
ABS is absolutely fine. New front brakes. Chassis is not rusting anymore. It feels this car feels really good to drive now. The tracking's been sorted out as well. Tracking's dead on. It's probably mechanically this is probably one of the best ones actually out there now.
Definitely the best it's been in a long time.
Yeah, it's best it's been, I don't know, for ages. Probably my ownership. Yeah, no more ABS kicking in. No more rust. Very nice drive back last night as well.
How's the headlights?
Headlights, they're alright. I mean, they're not like the best.
At least you've got 4 lamps.
I have, yeah, but they're kind of really one lamp is divided into 2 little bits.
Oh, okay.
Because the cars were not designed with those headlamps because it's 400.
Oh, of course.
It's just like a cheap, really. That's all it is.
Oh yeah, for example, the Alfa Romeo GT, is that right?
Yeah.
It looks like it's got 4 round lamps.
No, it's just it's kind of like that basically. It's fine. It doesn't matter though. But I've never seen a pre-facelift one of these with cloudy headlamps.
No, it's also later.
Yeah, it's only later. You don't get cloudy headlamps on these cars.
It's just a different plastic.
I'm not even sure it's plastic. I think it's actually glass. It's probably why you don't get it. But loads of cars, Astras,
Yeah.
I think even like the Mark II Focus, they all.
Even my Igo was quite bad on the top.
Yeah.
Where the beam doesn't shine.
Yeah. Yeah, Astra H, legendary for it, Astra G, loads. Steering is very well set up. It's very, very good in this car. It is, yeah. It's so funny, people when these cars were new said, oh, it's absolute trash. Really old-fashioned everything. And now you drive one of these versus, I don't know, an Astra G. Actually, it's not a bad car. But if they don't drive like this.
I think Rover didn't know, it was a brilliant, objectively as a car, it's brilliant even across the whole range, like from the 1400 right up to the V6, but I don't think Rover knew where to put it in the market. That was what they struggled with.
They really did, and initially they put it up against like the Vectra, which is totally rubbish. Like they never should have done that. It's because the R8 was always priced a bit higher than an Escort. They knew the car was better, and so they priced it a little bit higher. With this, I don't know if it was that much better. So Honda themselves, of course, they priced it against the Escort.
Yeah.
When it came out in 1995, they just priced it normally. Obviously, Hondas were and are a bit more expensive, so they kind of got away with it. Honda's had a very good reputation, whereas these, although they're very similar, they just never had a reputation. And if you get the head gasket sorted on most of these, especially these arcade series, if you get that sorted and do what Mr. Coleman did, Mr. Richardson's car, if you have someone like him do that, you will never have any more problems ever again. Never. You just got to fit an original spec one, high quality, or a Lotus Elise one. And they do fit, even the 1.4s, you put Lotus Elise head gaskets to them. And you get it with someone who knows what they're doing. You make sure you've got some tolerance left in the cylinder head, because obviously every time you do it, it's you've not got lane keeping assist in this car. You make sure you have a bit of the sort of cylinder head left, otherwise you can only do like maybe 2 or 3 spins. You can only do it so many times.
But what 20-year-old car doesn't have problems?
I know, yeah. If you think about it, like, you know, cars seem to have a lot of problems, and most 2003 cars have been scrapped. The ones that sort of survive generally think like Volvos. Even like MX-5s have been scrapped because they rust really badly.
Do you know how many V6s and how many V6 Connoisseurs are still?
Yeah, the V6s in general are 57. Connoisseurs are more common than the clubs. The clubs are. There we go, left. The
Broadway Tower, let's go there.
Broadway Tower, yeah. The clubs are rarer. They're like really rare. I'd say 20. So Connoisseurs about 30, 40. There's not very many. As I said to Jamie, I said these are one of the rarest cars. There's a 30 limit, so you better watch yourself through here.
You love stamping that throttle, don't you, sir?
I don't think he was I do, sir, but not when it involves breaking the speed limit. You were well in the Viz system there. You were well into it there. About 2. Yeah. It's not. It's all right. It's good enough for a car like this. What's pulling that caravan? Got an MG pulling that caravan.
It's a Mazda. I do this all the time.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's that Star Rider grill, isn't it?
Yeah, all the time I go, oh, nice MG. Oh,
no. Unfortunately, Mazda were first.
Yeah. I think the HS and the must be the CX-5.
CX-5, yeah.
There's another caravan. Yeah. I think the HS and the CX-5 look pretty similar.
They're very similar, yeah.
And the HS and the Mercedes GLC from the back. I'll need to get pictures of both together. They look uncanny.
I think the Renault Kadjar and the HS look similar from the side.
Yeah.
It's not really the case. I think necessarily it's like they ripping off one design at a time. I think it's just the case that SUVs look so similar.
Yeah, they all do.
They do, and obviously it's people that are inspired by other ones. That's not a surprise or anything. It's just really that well, the designs are just so similar.
I think MG and Sayak are just looking at what's out there and just taking the best bits of each, which I think is not a bad strategy. At the end of the day, they're a business. They're trying to make money.
The thing is that as you probably know, the entire allocation for 2022 for MG was sold at the end of March. So they stopped ordering petrols because they didn't have enough.
Yeah.
Then they stopped ordering electric cars, which is currently the case. If they hadn't had supply issues, they'd be like top 5 best-selling market in the country. They would be.
I think it was Auto Express, or I can't remember. They did. They used the SMT data. And they did the top 10 models of either the year so far or the most recent one. I can't quite remember. And the HS was placed in the top 10.
That's right. It was about number 8.
Yeah, that's right. And the first MG since 2005 in the top 10.
I think the only other one was the ZS in like April or May 2020, which kind of doesn't count.
That was a really weird thing.
Yeah, it doesn't count so much. It was totally weird. Like things like the Peugeot Partner and Rifter and things like that were in the top 10 for that month.
Yeah,
so it was normal months. The HS is the first MG in there since, I think, 2005, because at the time Range Rovers collapsed, people started being patriotic and buying loads and loads of MGs and Rovers. Started trying to be kind of kind and everything.
Yeah. Well, even when we were driving around Longbridge last year, even throughout the wider circle of Birmingham, there's still lots of 45, 75, 600s, TFs.
Yeah.
But even lots of new MGs as well.
Yeah, people in that part of the world are kind of loyal to that. They really do kind of try to stick to what they know, and a lot of them were employed by the factory when it operated, particularly around Longbridge. Like the housing estates past, like a lot of them were actually part of the factory originally, and it's been demolished. So it is a funny old business that. But yeah, you can still go into the showroom as you demonstrated this weekend with the local MG dealer here, and they've got a nice range of stuff.
Yeah.
And just supply issues at the moment would prevent them selling even more cars.
Someone was looking for a 5, they didn't have a 5 there at the minute, but
No, they didn't have one.
I've heard through the grapevine that there's no more sales for the current gen 5.
That's right, they stopped that. You can't order one simply because in 2 months' time the new model will be out.
Yeah.
They've obviously sold all the allocation. There aren't any more. It's pretty much like when the HS came out and the GS was sold out and you couldn't buy anymore.
Yeah.
Or you get a tight dispenser. Your grip, there you are.
Yeah.
Steering weight in this is very good.
And then is it double wishbones alright?
It is double wishbones all round. It's actually, I think, it's a multi-link at the back. So in terms of the setup of the suspension, they kind of go on about the control blade suspension and what we're focused. Yeah, it's really, really good. But Honda, who designed the suspension on this car, they were also very, very good. And very much ahead of their time. That's why people love the Civics.
Yeah, it does.
It does. If this is S180, it wouldn't be doing this, but the thing is, generally the ride's a bit better. You are.
A little bit.
Yeah, this is the main disadvantage of this car, is the gearbox. There we are. Oh, you're gripping well, sir.
Leans like a boat, but she grips well, and that soundtrack is priceless.
It doesn't lean like a ZS though, sir. Like the SUV.
Oh, of course, yeah.
It doesn't lean like that.
I was behind the P6B V8 last night.
Oh yeah,
She could lean.
that will lean a lot more than this. So here we are.
I was keeping up.
We're here,
It
sir.
was nipping on it. We were keeping up. Broadway Tower, and I'm slowly on brakes.
Brakes should be brilliant in this now.
Gently swing her right.
There we are, we're here. I'm not sure if I went up here actually.
Somebody took pictures here last night. It's clear, so I'm going to come out.
Yeah, it's just sometimes the gearbox is just a bit dim-witted and it sort of doesn't quite do what you want it to do. But my gosh, it's the Sandero Access.
Access, oh my god, right. Sorry, wheels.
It's alright, you're good. You're okay, sir.
Quite chunky. I'm really alloy wheel scared of. Sandero Access, what is this? And you don't see it. You see lots of comforts and Lorettes.
You don't see them. It's like the MG3 time. It was just there to say you can buy a Sandero for 5,995. But the thing is, when you take someone to the showroom and see, oh, you don't get any electric windows. Oh, you don't get a stereo. Oh, you don't get air
So
conditioning.
the one you want is 10 grand.
Here we are, sir.
Is it in your car park?
Here we are, yeah.
Drive a Rover.
Oh, he's probably gonna. I have got some cash actually.
Okay. But we drive a Rover.
No, you'll let you have to pay anyway. Stop, sir. Stop.
Oh, sorry.
Stop. The Bill's got one of those, you know. He's got
I
one
think
of those.
it was his recommendation actually.
They are really good. They're like the best alternative to a GoPro.
Okay. Well, I had a GoPro, but I tested the battery when it went and it felt a bit air conditioning.
You're gonna need that.
Sunroof.
A little bit of sunroof, yeah.
Tiny bit of window.
Just for a little while, yeah.
Oh, it's got one touch.
It does actually have one touch down.
Down, not up.
No, not up, no.
Clear prop. That's what aviators say before they start their engine.
Like Captain Reed.
Yes. Right. Back to base. So, do you think there was a replacement?
You're going to want to go for that one, I think.
Yeah.
You want to adjust that one.
Yeah, okay.
One that's, this is one of the only cars I know that you can have cold air on the face and warm air to the feet at the same time, because these vents are entirely independent.
Yeah. An E6.
It is an A6, yeah. It's a very clean one.
Yeah, it's not
It will have, oh, it's a 2.4, wow.
Is that
It's a V6 at 2.4.
Right, I can see the mirrors there. Hello, welcome, Netherlands. So do you think there was a replacement for this in the pipeline?
Yeah, there actually was.
Is there any pictures?
Yeah, it's called the RDX 50, I think. They were going to make that, but they just had no money. They were also going to rebadge with Proton Gen 2
Alright.
about that time, but again the deal fell through, which is it's a bizarre sort of thing. Obviously they would have had to deal with Lotus's parent company for that.
Who was that?
Proton.
Oh.
Just before they were also owned by Geely, which they are now.
Yeah.
Like Geely owned everybody now.
Volvo.
Volvo and EVC and all these firms. Also Proton, because they're still going but not on our market, and Lotus.
Yeah.
So plenty of money to do stuff, and what we've done with Volvo is very good.
Yeah.
If Geely had like bought Rover or something, you know, they might have been in a better place, but if Geely in 2005 weren't nearly the force that they are now.
Yeah.
So it was just one of these things. But the Gen 2 was sort of a little bit smaller than this, to be honest. I have driven a Gen 2,
Okay.
and they aren't quite as big as this. They're a little bit smaller, but they do ride and handle well. It's just not. It's not a very interesting car in many respects. The Campro engine is Proton's own engine. It's not a Mitsubishi one like one of the earlier ones were.
Yeah.
But it's just nothing. It's nothing particularly special. It's like the Sanyo 1.6 petrol.
Oh, yeah.
Again, that's nothing particularly special.
Low gear, right. How are we going to do this in an automatic?
You'll be fine. Just brake.
Okay.
The car will shift down for you
Yeah.
if it feels like you. You just make sure you brake properly, and you're testing new brakes in this.
Yeah. I don't like cooking the brakes.
You'll be all right. You'll be all right in this. I've been down a hill in this the other day. It was absolutely fine. Just make sure that you just brake properly. You'll be absolutely fine.
I wish it told you which gear it was in.
It does if you go to sport mode.
I don't like the behaviour of it in sports.
Sport mode. I never use sport mode. I don't know many 45 V6 owners who use sport mode, to be honest. It just makes the car use too much fuel. Essentially. No need to accelerate. No need for that. I don't see the escape lane at all. I don't know. Oh, it's that thing. You won't need it in this, it'll be fine.
It's amazing how they can build roads where they was never planned to be roads. So.
Yeah. It's a very steep hill, this. Okay, you're fine, no problem. If you had an electric car, that would be absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Because you just recoup all the way down.
Free money.
Yeah, it's free money. Electric cars, though, do wear their brakes out quite quickly for quite obvious reasons.
Yeah.
You're constantly recouping, you're going to be wearing the brakes out.
Your fuel gauge has moved quite a lot, I'm afraid.
And MG do make some good electric cars.
Yeah.
It's funny that the lady I'm staying with this weekend
Oh,
has a ZSEV.
Yeah.
It's a really late pre-facelift. It's set on the 71 plate.
Okay.
So it's a very late pre-facelift.
Yeah,
I think it's a white one. It's a white one.
Oh,
I think.
nice.
She says it's really, really, really good.
Yeah.
She probably got it reasonably cheaply. I mean, cheap to relative term these days with non-existent appreciation on most cars.
Of course, yeah. Everyone I know with a ZSEV really likes it.
Yeah. It's been a huge success for MG, that car. It's a huge success. If you go back into the village centre, yeah, go back the way we came.
I'll turn around. Oh, because we took a right here, yeah.
That's it.
I think that a good comparison would be between this and the P5 V8. I know it's 2 cylinders more, and it's probably a size above.
Probably the best comparison is the 75
Yeah.
to the P5, and unfortunately there is a 75 V8 there,
There is.
and it's a very, very late one.
It's is that the greeny purpley colour?
Yeah.
Yeah, next to us.
They weren't terribly common. If you talk to the people who were at MG Rover at the time, they actually spent a lot of work re-engineering that car. This car was re-engineered on the BMW.
Of course, it was front wheel drive in all other forms.
Yeah, they had to re-engineer this considerably, but the 75 V8 and ZT260 were different matter altogether, because like when they re-engineered the Triumph 1500 for Dolomite,
To the front to back.
they had to go front to back, which is I think one of there's only 2 instances I've ever heard of that happening. The Ray 21 was similar in a way, but the engine was longitudinally mounted in some cars and not others, but not literally like putting it front to rear, which is so you turn right, where's Morgan S?
Do you think BMW wanted nice mark?
Say W123 or an S123 actually.
For station wagon.
That's it.
Do you think BMW designed 75 hoping that they can do rear wheel drive one day?
Nobody really knows. If you talk to the people who worked at Rover at the time, they'll kind of say sort of yes and no. It's not really like the most clear-cut thing.
I really liked my 3 Series. Take the engine aside of it. I really liked the platform, my E91. I really liked driving it. It was so good fun to drive because it was an SE and not an M Sport. It rode really well, and I thought it's almost a Rover, but it's not quite. And I wish that the 75 had been rear-wheel drive in all of their engine forms. But obviously then it's too much of a 3 Series for BMW to try and sell it. Probably.
75 was a weird old thing in a way. I think we would have. That's a dead end. So we need to go back. The 75 was weird because it was in between a 3 and a 5 Series.
Yeah.
It was in between the two. So it's not really kind of the case that it's not really sort of the case that is just a direct rival of something. It's in between the two of them.
Should we keep going straight on here? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, I must have come down here originally. Yeah, well, you turned off too early. It's fine. Yeah, it's a weird.
Oh, there's that low bridge. Yes, yeah. I really like the 75. I'm yet to drive one. I really wish I could find someone who would let me drive one. But I really like them as a car. But I just think they're lovely cars. I just think BMW maybe had too much of their own way to sort of not make it as good as
it's very hard to say because they made a good They made a good car,
Yeah.
but what happened with it was that how do I put this? They made it very distinct from a BMW. They decided that what they would do is actually iron out a lot of the dynamism of the car, because they wanted it to be very distinct from a BMW.
Yeah.
So made it very, very soft, put a lot of these sort of old-fashioned style in it.
Yeah.
And what that did was, although it was very nostalgic for people, it meant that not a lot of people, to be honest, really wanted to drive something like that. You go left here.
Yeah.
A lot of people wanted to drive a car like that.
Well, the Jaguar S-Type.
Yeah, that was again the target market for something like that. It's not really a younger person, is it?
No.
So you're still, a lot of older people bought a 75 or an S-Type, and I've never driven an S-Type. I'd quite like to. I kind of prefer the 75, just personally. I think the styling's a bit better resolved.
Yeah.
Both of them have very bad rust issues. They're very old cars now, you know, it's not a surprise, it's an old car, really. And if people say, well, it's only 5 rust badly, it's like, well, you name me a car like that doesn't rust badly. Well, like, you know, an E46 or an E39, those rust pretty badly.
Yeah. Expensive, actually.
Yeah. And, you know, an E46, they do have problems, and there are quite a lot of them. So it's not really the case at all that these cars are massively sort of better in some ways. The E39 is a very good car, but it sort of depends what you want in comparison to the 75. They're not the same underneath. They do share some bits, but they're not the same underneath. The platform's not quite a BMW platform. It's not quite. It's like a BMW style platform, if that makes sense, but engineered by Rover. As far as I understand it, people debate that the whole time, but that's really sort of what it is. It's an interesting thing how they didn't really kind of intend for MG Rover or a Rover Group, it would have been at the time, to be sold by them so quickly. But
There's only 94
to 2000. So they intended to keep it, but they did have the bits of it that they wanted. They had the hill descent control from the Freelander.
Oh, yeah.
They had the whole mini brand and everything like that, and they had the Calvi factory. They did get some good bits out of it, and Mini is still one of the best selling cars in this country, and they have a lot of appeal to people. I'm not the most mad keen on the things personally, but I do understand why people like them.
The BMW Minis that I like is the early ones, so they'll be up to about 2004 or 5.
Yeah, the R50 went until about 2000 and, let's get this right, about 2007, 6-7.
Yeah.
And then the R53s were slightly later ones of those.
But the Tritec engine in the earlier ones is not great, and the Prince engine gets a bad name as well.
The Prince engine's actually worse than the Tritec engine.
Yeah.
Honestly, it is. It's worse.
I think the Mini should have had a K series.
It was going to have one, but Rover were overruled, and they said we have to have this Tritec engine.
But what would have happened after 2005? Was the thing, because soon after MG Rover hit bankruptcy, the K series Freelander disappeared after that.
Yeah, well, I mean, who knows? It's like the Lotus Elise have the same issue, because they also used it. Not in America, but fortunately they had this partnership like with Toyota, and Toyota actually, then supplied all engines for the Elise, not just that. So yeah, that's not too bad.
So where are we going?
I might put Google Maps in a sec, so. We're also in Evesham, and Evesham is a fair distance actually, so I'll just put this on and we'll take us back.
Okay, we passed, random side note, there's a dog trust centre that we passed, and that's exactly where Tom and Becky got their doggy from.
Yeah, that's alright, we'll just put it in here. Okay. I've not got the best connection, but I've got some. You want to go left here.
Cheltenham, that's right.
You want to go left here. It'll be too far going that way. Right. It's about 6 miles.
Okay, that's fine. We should take on a B road, I'm going to say 15, 20 minutes?
No, 14 minutes.
Okay. Trying to do speed distance time in my head. It's the aviator in me as well. Oh, I like this auto with traffic actually.
Oh, wait, wants you to go. Does she know that? That's not the way I want you to go. You want to go like round this way.
Alright.
Sorry about that.
Where that say that's going?
No, round. Go on, right.
Sorry.
It's right. Go round and back.
This way?
Yeah, that's it.
Back to where we came?
Yeah.
Alright.
Never mind, you're a nice little drive out, sir.
There's the time on the insurance. It is 1:30. It's fine.
You've got enough time, have you?
Yeah, I hope so.
Right. Yeah, we'll be back in 15 minutes. It's not like you're going to complain about driving this car, but
No, I'm going to go home. Mom, could I have a V645? And she's going to go, no!
Your mother says no to like everything, doesn't she?
And she quite likes the idea of a midget.
Was that because she wants to drive?
Yeah, I think she wants to be a passenger in it more than anything.
If you are like of the tall or wide persuasion, a midget is not for you.
No, my mum's tiny.
So you'll be alright, you'll be fine. It won't be a problem, but I managed to drive it. I mean, the chap who owns it, obviously, he's taller than me. Oh, hello. Yeah, they're part of that, yeah. They're on their way home. Yeah, he's a bit taller than me. I managed to get in though, just about. And people obviously do, they always have managed to get into things like that. But it's not necessarily the most comfortable car. It was good fun, but the one I drove had no servo brakes.
Okay, that was standard.
And no synchro on first, so it was a right challenge. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we're going right at the next roundabout. Oh, there's an EG Civic. That's a coupe as well. Yeah, but they're expensive those now.
Does she make for a good video?
I hope so, sir.
Random yapping. Yeah, that's where Tom and Becky got drunk.
Yeah, I'll be there, yeah. She said to me yesterday, she said I could come, but the issue is that it's not fair for me to leave him on his own in the house.
Yeah.
And you're quite right, it's not the best. You have to have like a kennel to go and sleep in outside or something.
Nice GT.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Or maybe it's a Spider, I think. The convertibles for Spiders.
That's right, yeah. I've driven a convertible one of those. It was pretty good.
Yeah. Twin Spark.
No, JTS. Just the engine right at the end. No, it's a 4-cylinder. It's the engine that went into the 159. So right at the end of production of those, they changed the engine from a twin spark to JTS. So it's only for a year. It's 2003 or 4. It's a very, very, very late one. Yeah, it was pretty good. It's like typical Alpha, like kind of, some of the stuff's good in terms of quality, some of it's not good. But that's just typical Alpha.
They look so good.
They do. You kind of want one if you look at them. So, oh yes, he's on his way home. Gosh, that's an old Audi 100. That's actually not it before from the A6. If you go, Yeah, right at the roundabout. If you go third exit.
Is it the B road?
That's it.
Yeah.
I think we missed a turning somewhere, didn't we? You can hear the clutch of the aircon whirring away now.
So that's it.
Yeah, that's what happens. Yeah, that's happened, yeah. So turn right in about a mile.
Okay. Well, I'll get some pictures of our cars together.
That's fine, sir.
And there's we can use the banners and stuff, and there's also an empty gap for us as well.
A gap, sir. Somebody else left, have they?
No, ahead of us, pointing ahead of us.
Oh yeah, there's a massive gap.
Yeah.
Massive gap.
So I'm just picking off the gas here and let it go.
You want to slow down a bit. It's 30.
That must be the railway. That's the railway that we're.
That's the one, yeah.
Lots of caravanners out today.
Why not, I suppose. Massive, big.
I think this could tow quite well. Although it's not as torquey out to that as
The engine?
yeah.
I don't notice that, to be honest. Ian Seabury used to complain about it a lot. So it's next right. It's down here.
Aha, this is where
It's the one. Better than many. Obviously we're in the Cotswolds, so there's loads of just random classic cars going around.
I do like the scenery.
It's not bad. Charles Wickham.
It does ride really well, I just don't like putting the car. Even if the passenger cabin doesn't feel it, I don't like the suspension having to deal with it.
Like most modern stuff is not like an MG3. Most of it rolls way more than this. Sanyong does, HS, ZS, anything like that, all rolls way more than this. This is actually a very good compromise. And you get the feeling of the steering, which is very good.
But it's not tiring.
No.
It's good fun, but it doesn't wear you out.
No, the ZS I find it's too hard.
Yeah.
It's too hard, really.
Some cars are great fun to drive, but after about half an hour you're just exhausted.
It's too much. This will very happily cruise on the motorway with no issues at all. Because it's got the cruise control, it's even better.
They're nearly 80,000 miles.
Yeah, that'll tick over probably later this month, I think.
Well, I'm only 100 miles away from 40,000 miles, so this has done double my miles.
It has, but it's done it over 19 years. I've done about 15,000 miles in this. I don't have to shout anymore.
Yeah. Is it tilt and what?
Yeah, it's a tilt one, yeah.
Tilt and slide.
I only use the tilt on like a motorway or something. It's very good for the tilt open. You don't want to run the aircon for any reason. My lady doesn't like air conditioning anyway, so that's obviously very useful. She doesn't like it. Mr. Cobb doesn't like it actually. There are some people who don't like it. I like it.
It just takes the stickiness sometimes.
It does.
Obviously I'm a clean, hygienic person, but sometimes like now, it's a bit sticky, but it just.
It's
takes-
right, yeah.
And even in the rain, we came along here I came along here this morning as well. Even in the
You really
rain,
come this way, yeah.
it doesn't steam up more. I think I could drive this all day and not get bored or fall asleep.
Well, I have.
It's like a good
Frequently.
compromise.
I know, that's why they're very good cars.
Like maybe a 75 might nod me off after so long.
75s don't drive as well as this. They don't drive like this.
Dynamically, no.
Yeah. ZT, even a ZT is a little bit soft, to be honest. They are a little bit on the soft side.
They're big cars.
Yeah, they are. This is completely different engineering. It's from Honda, really, and so they just have the way they drive. A little bit firmer than something like a 75.
Yeah.
Honda's always were a little bit on the firm side anyway.
I think Hondas have always been quite dynamic. Maybe not now.
They're very much so. Yeah, not so much now, but at the time, between sort of about 1985 and about 2005, Honda were their absolute element in what they could do, and the chassis they make of the cars, and the reliability they would instill into them. Obviously, Hondas do brakes; they brake quite a lot, but less than lots of other things.
The power of dreams.
That's right. They just only to engineer really good cars. They're a little bit more expensive than everything else. People used to say they were really boring. The thing is, you drive one now, and they drive superbly well. But they don't really have the same image they used to, which was they only called like pensioners.
Fuzzy duddy.
Yeah. Now you have an EG7, and people think those are really dynamic, and they are. But at the time, they were just seen as really old cars and really old people. It's a bit
I always think the
shame.
Jazz. It's always the poor Jazz. I'm sure the Jazz is a lovely car.
It
but
is.
It's just if you go to a garden centre,
There's tons of them.
every blue badge space will be full of. Do you know what old people drive nowadays? Sanderos
Yeah, it's not surprising, is it?
and stairways. Well, my nan and papa's got a stairway. Can't
That's
talk
not
about it,
surprising.
but they love
Can't
it.
talk about it, no.
It's very easy for Rosemary to get in and out of.
The new stepways, as you know, is absolutely amazing.
They are good cars.
They're very good cars. And if you want to save money, you can even buy an LPG version.
Oh, yeah. I'm just out where we are.
You know where we are.
Although I would still have an MG3 for its dynamic.
You can still buy a brand new one
Yeah.
at the moment, anyway.
Talking about new Hondas, there's a.
I
If you draw a car, if you think of a car, that's what you think of.
I sourced an estate one of those the same year. One of the last ones they made because they stopped importing in 2017.
I think they're quite ugly.
So, it's actually a really good car.
Yeah, I just
It's
think
a surprisingly good car. It depends if you can live with the looks of it.
it's
So just don't overshoot the turning. It's a bit easy to do that. Sit, sir. That's it. Left tap. That's it. Right hand down. There we go, sir. See if anything else has actually arrived since I've been out.
So there's a few.
No, probably not. That Metro's going. That MGF is going.
It is too hot.
If you're sitting around in the sun, it's just unpleasantly hot. Weird thing going to these shows is that you are there amongst all this stuff, and your mind thinks, oh, these are the only cars ever made.
Yeah.
And just sort of around this, and then
This is it.
you don't think any. It's weird. You just think, oh, nothing else is ever made. These cars were the best cars ever. Then you get out there thinking, oh, there's so much else, and that's true. Turn a bit off now, actually.
Yeah. Open it if you're on a stair.
I'm going to do that.
I like that beam. I really like that beam.
There's two red ones. The other one's gone now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure there is actually anything that's turned apart from the Tomcat. Unfortunately, I missed, which is a bit of a shame. I didn't see that.
You speak to Matt.
I probably saw it, back in the day or something. I can't see anything really that it's really kind of standing out to me that came later. That red ZS possibly.
That an electric, because I can see the bit on the grill. That's reverse.
I think it is.
I know
yeah.
it's reverse.
That's a very early one as well,
69,
actually.
Yeah.
It's a very early one.
Hello, Morris. I can see you.
The parking sensors unfortunately have packed up on you, so you have to do it by eye.
This is how I park cars. I usually just hang out.
Just watch the back. 'Cause you
I'm
can't
quite close to
see it.
my way, so.
Yeah. Yeah, for some reason the parking sensor's got a total mind of their own in this car. And they are BMW parking sensors, so make of that what you will.
I know, who puts German parts in cars? Who does that?
I know.
Yeah, lovely, jubbly. Well,
That'll be fine, sir.
thank you very much for watching this Macklins Motors YouTube video. Mr. Joseph Lloyd of Lloyd Vehicle Consulting channel. Please check him out and you'll see some bits of today's show already.